How you doing?
Doing good. How about you? How's it? How is it? How is it in the Eastern time zone?
It's looking well, actually.
It's a bit overheated in West Coast.
Well, I live in Trenton right now, in the
Oh,
middle of the state. So, yeah, it's a good thing I'm away from there. But yeah,
yeah.
thanks for willing to do this.
Oh, sure, no problem.
You know, I've been wanting to say this, but I've been getting to know more about you since the show Bleach as Sawatari. And and to tell you the truth, I never knew what anime was back then. Before in 2016 is where I discovered the show One Punch Man and what anime it truly is. That's why I discovered all the actors, including you, Joe, and I'm beginning to recognize all your voices throughout the years.
Yeah, Bleach actually I think was one of the first anime things that I did, or near the beginning, and that was a really interesting character, and I had not watched much anime before that. So, he rode a giant wooden fish and he was ancient and the whole mythology that goes with it. I can see why people are really into it.
Interesting. That's nice. But anyway, I have many questions I've been wanting to ask you.
I am prepared.
Tell me, how is it like being a voice actor in many animated shows?
um, it's I started out doing acting on stage, like in theater productions. And it's interesting because aside from not having an audience, it's very similar. A lot of the stuff is building the characters, knowing how to use your voice, and making them seem real. So whether it's a game or animation or anime dubbing, uh, slightly different skill sets depending on what you have to do technically, but the characters are always there.
Nice to hear. Which leads me to the most important question. How did you get into voice acting?
Uh, well, I had been doing computer programming as a career for years, and at the same time, I was doing theater. So I did programming during the day and theater at night, and it was using two different halves of my brain. And I got laid off from my job in 2006, and my wife said, "Hey, you should try doing acting, but not on camera," which I took to be an insult, but she meant she meant my voice was more diverse than my look. My look is kind of neighbor next door, maybe father person, but my voice can do all sorts of things. So at that point, I uh, took some voiceover specific classes, even though I'd been doing acting. Got a demo made, managed to get an agent, and kind of hit the ground running.
Interesting. So that's how you got into voice acting, because of those voice acting classes and other things that you have been going through,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I
it was
do
a
want.
whole path. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, to be honest with you, I actually took voice acting classes myself, even graduated one in March, and just currently, I'm currently a voice actor right now, and I'm trying to look for more opportunities to be in projects and stuff so that when that is all, when I get myself into an opportunity, only then will I finally get hired to do an anime or a video game or something so that I can finally fulfill my dream of being in it just like I've always have been since I was 6 years old.
Wow, that's dedication. I mean, I think you're on the right track. I think preparation is key. Like I've gone to auditions for jobs where I did the audition and I came out and I said I wasn't really ready for that, and that feeling kind of spurs me on to work harder to be ready when the next opportunity comes. I think that's what you can do best is work on your craft, and when somebody comes along and says, "Hey, we're looking for somebody who's got your kind of voice or your kind of character," then you'll be ready for it.
Interesting. But anyway, got many questions about your characters, but
Huh?
what was your first ever character you get to play as, way before you got into many others?
Hmm. First character. First ever character was in a stage production. It was a production of Dracula, and I was Van Helsing. And I was older than you were when you started. You started at 6. I started at maybe 15 or 16, and I was playing a 60-year-old man on stage. I had a fake beard and an accent, and I think it really grabbed me, the same way as you probably got grabbed by watching, anime or learning about other voice actors.
So, so that was your first ever character in that Dracula show with Jameson Price.
Ooh, I wish.
It,
No, this isn't going to be on online anywhere. It was a high school production,
yeah,
but it got me my start, and the director I think the director was key too. The director was really good at guiding me in the right way to get the character.
I see. To be honest with you, I wanted to make sure I know what character so that just to tell you the truth, for the whenever you the voice showcases I wanted to do for you one of these days, I wanted
Uh-huh.
to make sure I put them in order. That way I know what to do about it, like evolutionizing how your voice develops for years, just like I did it for many others. Like for example, like the deceased Lance Riddick and of course the deceased Billy Comet. Even done it for Keith David the other day. So
Wow.
that's why I'll do the same for you and everybody else. And
Cool.
that's the reason why I need to understand what their first character is so I can do it in chronological order. But I'm
Yeah.
glad you told me that.
Yeah. I tend to a lot of my characters tend to either be um older or creepy or
Or
evil
evil.
or evil in some way. Yeah,
It's like you
yeah.
said on your Twitter that
You're
that if anyone played the game, then you probably kill me. So yeah,
yeah,
that's probably the point there. But anyway, in the show Bleach, what was your favorite thing about playing Sawatari and, of course, Nuwater in sword form?
hmm. Uh, I liked what was Sawatori. Sorry, yeah,
Sawatori, yeah, you
yeah.
got that correct.
I really liked his. He was old and kind of crotchety and evil, and he had a lot of gravel in his voice. So he's like, you know, Bauda. Bauda was the giant wooden fish that he rode, and the whole mythology was really interesting. That they're like vampires, but they steal people's energy. So I kind of liked that. Um, that from his perspective, he was better than the people whose energy he was stealing, and so he kind of uh, approached his life in a different way. He just wanted to keep surviving, even though he'd lived for thousands of years.
Interesting. So that's what you like about playing that character. Because I've seen the show Bleach, and to tell you the truth, you did an amazing performance playing that character, especially when you got to battle against an old friend of mine, Terrence Stone, who's like the literal goat of defeating you right there. He's all like, so let's see if you have what it takes to beat me. So bring it on, you bastard. So that's why I actually interviewed him once, and he's a very nice guy, actually.
He
So
is,
how
yeah.
and that's what I like about that. But
It's
anyway,
uh
in the sh how does it feel about playing Mr. Mikazuki in Zom 100?
ooh, uh, that was kind of a smaller role, but it's gotten a lot of really good reviews, and he was more in the line of just being an average person, which you'd be surprised. Sometimes those are harder to play. Like if they say, "Hey, you're just having a conversation with somebody," you want to sound well like we are right now. We're just having a conversation, but it's when you get in a studio, people tend to become something that they're really not. And I think he was more of a normal guy in a strange situation. So
I see. So
mhm.
that's how you like about playing that character. Because
Yeah.
I've seen the show Some 100, you know. I actually made a video about it, which you seen my post, my Twitter post, right? About the
Uh-huh.
video I did. I did it for you and all the voice actors, even for Millsap, which I actually met him, and he's a very cool dude actually.
Yeah.
And you know and you know what the best part is?
What's that?
The truth is, when I was hearing your voice as that character, you sound like an older version of the another voice actor named Amari Williams. Cause,
Oh,
cause it's the truth, you know. From my analyzation, you sounded like an older version of Amari. And it's
wow.
so unique how you were able to put all that energy to it.
Wow, that's cool. I'd never heard that before about that character.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to tell you this, to make you understand about what it is that I've seen so far.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because I don't when I go in to do the character, I just kind of approach it how it's in my head and what the director says. But then afterwards, when I hear from people who've watched the shows or played the games, that's always much more interesting to me because I get that's like the audience feedback from doing a play on stage. I don't get the audience feedback until people actually see it, and that's really it's always fascinating to me what people think and how and you seem to have a good sense with your hearing and your technical abilities that you can pick up on similar voice patterns.
Yeah, that's how I was able to recognize who actually voices that character, you know? Like one time when I was seeing an anime show called Mashiel, I beginning to recognize one of the characters right there. And I was like, wait a second, I think I know who voiced him. You do? And I was like, here, let me show you. As I was saying, the voice of Adam Jobs is really Keith Silverstein. And I was like, how do you know? And I was like, simple. Because when I was hearing him, I could almost hear Gabriel Gress coming out of him, meaning that Gabriel and Adam Jaws have the exact same voice. And they're
Hmm.
like, wow, you are smart, Sebastian. I could tell you that. And I was like, indeed. That's what I told to the fandom, you know, because, you
Yeah.
know, it's all part of knowledge right there.
What's
So.
that? And you probably have a really good ear too, which is
uh,
important.
Yeah. So that's how I came to know about it, about voice acting for it, because of analyzation.
Hmm.
But anyway, how is it like about playing Raven in Tales of Vesperia?
Yeah. He's a favorite of mine. I love Raven. He's got his voice is actually really similar to just my normal speaking voice, and in some ways his personality is similar to mine because he's a little jokey, and they call him the old man, and he's a bit of a um, you know womanizer in the game. But in the end, he turns out to be a good guy, even though he's got some problems. And I connected with him quite a bit. I think as on a character level, and it was also a really fun production. They had a lot of normally games have these little dialogue segments and then the game pieces, and they really bulked up the dialogue so that there was a lot more meat to the characters.
Interesting. So that's what you like about playing that character. Because
Hmm.
all I know is that I played the game and it's super amazing from your performance right there. Especially when your character got to interact with Troy Baker himself, who is like the main character in the story. And it's so awesome. To put it in truth, I actually met Troy Baker 1 year ago and
Oh,
super cool guy actually. Recently doing Baki Hamna in the Netflix
oh,
and does in the upcoming Indiana Jones game with Tony Todd.
oh, cool. He's in Indiana Jones. I didn't know that.
He's
Yeah.
he's Indiana Jones himself, making
Wow.
himself sound like Harrison Ford, you know?
That's
Just
a
just like Kif Vinden Havel and what was that other guy name? Oh right, AJ Lasico did.
that's a good gig. That's a good gig. Yeah, I think I've met Troy once or twice. It's kind of a strange job because I've worked with a lot of people, but I haven't necessarily met them. So you may have met more voice actors than I have.
Well, maybe you should try to, you know? That way
Yeah,
you get to know them well, just like
yeah,
how I have been. That's why they became followers of me for, because of me just being a true, honest person to them who comes to understand the ways of life itself.
yeah,
So that's something I want to tell you.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway, what's so awesome about playing Palladro Divino in Fire Emblem Warriors?
Ooh, yeah. He's fun. He's kind of a larger than life character, but he's got a very his voice is very strong but limited. So he's got a very dry sense of humor. I like that about him. And then I also like that he's kind of a, if you don't mind my saying, he's kind of a badass in the game. You know, with his skill set and his sword. And he was a lot of fun to voice. That was through a studio called Cup of Tea, I think, which they're really nice there.
Yes, that company where the guy who brought you Patrick Sides, who is also in the game, was did a good job directing you in there, along with some very cool actors I got to meet with, including an old friend of mine, Richard Apcar.
Oh, yeah.
So
Both Patrick and Richard are extremely nice guys and very good at what they do.
they are very good indeed, and that's how it goes so far. So yeah, that's what I like about the game Fire Emblem, just bringing a lot of good quality and a lot of fandom to it. So that's
Yeah.
all to it. But anyway, what's the most awesome thing when playing Jack the Ripper in Fate's Strange Fake Whispers of Dawn?
Ooh. Yeah, he was evil embodied. I mean, I didn't even have to work at him too much because he just seemed evil from the get-go. And then the fact that he was kind of not in human form, which gave him a different take on the character. I mean, his he you find out he's Jack the Ripper, but he's not the Jack the Ripper from, Fables. So I just went all out and played him evil, evil, evil on that one.
I see. So
Yeah,
that's what you like about playing that character. Because all
yeah,
I know is that I've known about the Fate franchise for years, especially with the casting director himself, Tony Oliver, just doing a lot of Fate stuff over the years. But in the truth is, you being part of it was actually the right choice, you know?
yeah,
But you know what else the best part is? The show is an actual Fate Strange Fake show is actually in production right now. Because if
cool.
they ever return, then you should as well. Because after all, here's the surprise part. Your character, Jack the Reaper, will end up taking a lot of forms, you know? Like
Ooh.
the form of an old man, a form of anyone, even a woman. But what Bug will end up keeping his voice. He'll be like, I do not care if I'm a woman or not. All I know is that I'm here to do my job, and that's all that matters to me. So
I completely forgot that Tony had directed that. He's another really professional guy in the. He started out with I think Power Rangers, way back when. Yeah, yeah,
before he became an actual director of the entire Bang Zoom and a single struck. But anyway, what's your favorite part about being the voice of, how do I say it? Nobanga Hazama in Hunter x Hunter.
yeah. No, Nobunaga, Nobunaga.
Nobunaga,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Nobunaga Hazama.
Um, that one I had no knowledge of it when I went in. They're like, hey, we need this kind of character. He's a he's a unlike me. He's a very like lanky, cool kind of character. I almost picture him as his movements are very fluid and smooth, and I think that feeds into his voice. But his voice is it's way down here, and so he's like this, way down here, but in a cool way. He's like cool, like you know, uh, people from the 1950s in movies. Cool, you know. It's got a James Bondish kind of quality to him, where nothing seems to upset him. And I like that about his character because even when he gets in battles, he's trying to maintain that cool level.
Interesting. So that's what you like to pl about playing that character. Because to tell you this, Tony Oliver again was able to bring you in for like that right before he got you into the faith thing. And to tell you the truth, I'm honestly glad he brought you in, you know? And it's bringing a whole lot of vibes since Hunter x Hunter has been going throughout the years, you know? And
Yeah.
that and you got to interact, your character got to interact with how do I say it? Like very big fan of mine, Robbie Damon,
Oh.
and of course Erica Herletter and Matthew Mercer when he battles them.
Oh
And
yeah.
and yeah, that's pretty much all to it.
Yeah, I like Matthew's a nice guy too. In person, he's one I have run into.
I actually told Troy Baker once that he and Matthew sounded alike, and he was like, "Holy damn, you're right, Sebastian. We do sound alike." And I was like,
They both have that kind of young hero vibe to their characters and their voice. They're really I mean they are zoned in on that.
"Indeed, they do."
Yeah.
But anyway, what's the biggest thing when playing Suchi no Akawa in Doria?
Oh yeah, that was a weird one.
Doria,
Da da da. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
Duarara.
um he was another kind of normal guy in an abnormal situation, abnormal world, and I think the whole first season he's looking for his daughter, who's disappeared or has gotten in with a bad crowd of people who do magic and stuff, and he's just normal. He's like a reporter, and at the end of the first season, I'm not going to give anything away, but I thought he wasn't going to appear in anymore. And then they called me for the second season and they said, "No, no, your character's still alive." And I went, "Really? Where is he?" He's in a hospital when we start out, and I'm like, "Okay." So, um, but he was one where I got to dig a little deeper on the emotional side because he was concerned about his daughter and he didn't have any powers. He was just a guy.
Interesting. So that's how you like about playing that character. Because to
Mm.
tell you this, I actually seen the show actually, and it's very unique in a way. I even made that video about that show about since the beginning of the this year. And I even included you in my video as a way for everyone to know who you sound like.
Yeah.
Which if you look up my YouTube channel called Seba's Voiceover World,
Uh-huh.
you do see it right there.
Cool.
The video of Duaria, which I made it for you and everybody else.
Oh, thank you.
It's what I do best for the sake of everyone. But anyway, what's so cool about being the voice of Hai Zoburo in Kanosuba,
Ooh, Konosuba. The strange, wonderful world.
the one that Ezra Weiss brought you in?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, he's a really great director. He has a style all his own. But yeah, that one was that one was he was kind of a older man, but softer than some of the other characters I've played, which is nice. It's a good change to not always have to be a evil battle kind of guy. I'm finding out there's a lot of value in playing the subtleties of people rather than just being out there and going rah.
I see. So
Yeah,
that's how you like about playing that character. Because all I know is that I've known about the show Konosuba, and it's very hilarious and of course just very fun at the same time. But the funny thing is, I actually met met the one of the voice actors, Dorothy Fun, who actually plays his wife, actually.
Oh,
I even met her and his and Dorothy's husband, Tom Fun. They're very awesome people, you know. If you get to meet them in person, you're gonna love them.
yeah.
And it's
I have not had the honor of meeting either of them.
but if you do that, you'll get to know them very well, since they've been biggest supporters and fans of me over for the past 2 years.
Oh,
2 years since I first met them online.
oh, cool.
And they've loved the videos I've done. Just as I help them, in return, they do the same for me.
Yeah,
And that's why,
it's important to build a network. You know.
yeah, and that's why I love about them. Just being good people with very big hearts.
Hmm.
Last question, but in the in the in
Oh,
the show Zuzu Land, how is it like being the narrator of the entire series?
uh, I love that show. I'm still connected with the director who is from Brazil, Brazil, Brazil. I think Brazil. Yeah, she's she started out with hand puppets and a show on local television, and has managed to get it to go through a series, and then I think she's got a movie coming out soon of the thing. And the narrator is very stereotypical, you know, I am a narrator guy. And but then the other character that I play is the hot dog character, who is literally a hot dog. They're all like kind of food items, but he's the only one who looks just like a hot dog. And he's got kind of a, you know, dim guy kind of voice, and he does stupid things all the time, but he seems happy, so I don't care. uh, so for that show, I think it's just such a fun show for kids, and I don't get to do too many fun kids shows. So that one was just a treat to work on, and the lady who created the whole thing, she's very nice.
Interesting. So that's how you like about being in that show. Because to put it simply, I actually met one of the actors 1 year ago, Amber Connor. She's a
Oh,
very cool person, actually, a follower, a fan of mine, who actually has been supporting me, and she's involved in the show as one of the characters, and and her getting along with you is a very interesting thing I'm beginning to notice. And
yeah.
that's why I'm starting to like both your performances very well because of the things I that just go awesomely.
Yeah, that whole cast just bring it. Wendy Lee was in that too as the witch character. Yeah,
Yes,
she was great.
I met Wendy actually. She's very cool
Yeah, yeah, she is cool.
indeed. Well, Joe, it's such an honor to finally meet you, Joe.
Sure, my pleasure. You know, if it's oversaid a lot, but um, we need the audience to tell us how we're doing. And you seem very you're very detailed. I will say that about you. I think you might know more about my career than I do.
That's why I'm willing to help not only you, but everybody else as well.
Yeah,
So that's something I'm willing to do for the sake of achieving my goals to working with you in the near future.
it's a good way to pay it forward too. You know, you make friends, you make connections.
And that's my goal there, to make friends with everybody.
Hmm.
But you know, Joe, I'm gonna be honest with you. You are a very honorable, nice guy.
Oh,
And
thank you.
and I may be autistic, but I've come to understand how everybody is going through. And I'm honestly glad that you told me everything.
Yeah.
And you supporting my things is what puts joy in my heart. And
Oh,
that's why I'll be willing to working with you in the near future when the time comes.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I hope to see you in the studio someday.
Oh, trust me, because eventually, in a few weeks or months, I might actually come to California, and pretty soon, I would like to see you there when the
Oh,
time comes.
cool.
Until then, I'll be seeing you around on social media, my friend.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Bye.